personal milestones and unforgettable memories. And now with the World Athletics label, you don't want to miss a chance to write your fitness story. Register today at absamarathonzambia.co.zm. Get your slot at 600 kwacha or 500 kwacha when you pay using any of your ABSA cards. Your story matters. ABSA.
For in-depth news coverage from across Zambia, local and national news, business, politics and sports, this is the Sun FM News, brought to you by ABSA. Your story matters.
The news.
Hello and welcome to Sun FM Radio and TV News. The headlines. President Hakainde Hichilema is set to participate in the 60th summit of the African Union Committee on 10 Heads of State and Government, a high-level virtual gathering aimed at advancing Africa's long-standing demand for reform of the United Nations Security Council UNSC. Vice President Mutale Lumango has firmly rejected claims that the Zambian government was involved in a supposed plan to bribe South African judge in connection with the burial case of late former President Edgar Lungu. Speaker of the National Assembly Nedi Muti has reserved her ruling on the continued absence of Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu following a point of order raised by Zambezi East MP Brian Kambita. In sports, Zesco United midfielder Kelvin Kampamba has voiced a strong optimism ahead of the delayed 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN, describing the tournament as a golden opportunity for Zambia to showcase its depth of talent and competitive edge. Join me for the details shortly.
The news. 88.5 Sun FM.
With the details, my name is Kaela Brister. President Hakainde Hichilema is set to participate in the 60th summit of the African Union Committee of 10 Heads of State and Government, a high-level virtual gathering aimed at advancing Africa's long-standing demand for reform of the United Nations Security Council UNSC. The summit will be chaired by President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, who serves as the current coordinator of the C10. Discussions will center on the Common African Position, which calls for 2 permanent seats for Africa on the UNSC, complete with veto power as outlined in the Ezulwini Consensus and the SATE Declaration. The meeting will also consider outcomes from the 13th ministerial meeting of the AU C10 hosted by Zambia in Lusaka from June 3 to 5, 2025. The gathering reaffirms Africa's unified stance and strategic roadmap for equitable representation on the Security Council. President Hichilema has reiterated Zambia's unwavering commitment to working with fellow AU member states to push for a fairer, more democratic global governance system where Africa's voice is not only heard but meaningfully represented. The summit will further review progress made since the adoption of the Pact for the Future at the 2024 UN General Assembly, which injected fresh momentum into Africa's reform agenda. Key documents, including the Lusaka Ministerial Outcome Document and the AU Model on UNSC reform, will guide deliberations ahead of the UNGA High-Level Week in September 2025. This was contained in a press statement made available to the media by Eva Chanda, Principal Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Vice President Muntalena Lumango has firmly rejected claims that the Zambian government was involved in a supposed plan to bribe a South African judge in connection with the burial case of late former President Edgar Lungu. The allegations stem from a leaked audio circulating on social media, allegedly featuring Mafinga MP Robert Chavinga proposing a scheme to influence the South African judiciary. The recording has sparked widespread public debate and criticism. During Vice President's question time in Parliament, Mpika MP Francis Kapyanga pressed the Vice President for clarity on the matter. In response, Mrs. Nalumango stated that the audio does not contain any explicit indication that the government endorsed or intended to carry out such a plan. She emphasized that the remarks in the recording reflect individual speculation, not official policy. She echoed that these are proposals similar to many ideas that have emerged among citizens regarding the funeral and burial of the late president, and it is unfortunate that the government is being criticized based on speculative content. She also condemned the leaking of sensitive government communications, calling it immoral and unlawful, and warned that such actions undermine national integrity and democratic processes. This statement comes amid heightened tensions surrounding the burial of President Lungu, whose funeral was halted mid-ceremony by a South African court pending further legal proceedings. The government has maintained that it seeks to a dignified and lawful resolution to the matter.
So those were proposals and suggestions. It didn't say there is a government, position that we should go, and please go and listen again. There was nowhere in that audio, which I've also listened to, unless I missed it, that government has decided to go and bribe a judge in South Africa. It is not there. So don't add into. Face the reality, face something which is there. But to say there is government in there saying, let us go, madam, and bribe. It was a talk between two people, dreaming, fantasizing, like all of you have done.
Speaker of the National Assembly Nelly Muti has reserved her ruling on the continued absence of Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu following a point of order raised by Zambezi East MP Brian Kambita. The issue has sparked national attention as it intersects with legal proceedings surrounding the burial of Miss Lungu's father, the late 60th Republican President Edgar Lungu. Mr. Kambita questioned whether Miss Lungu's seat should be declared vacant, citing public statements from her family indicating they do not intend to return to Zambia. He referenced a standing order 243, which governs members' absences from Parliament, and expressed concern that the people of Chawama were being denied effective representation. In response, Speaker Muti confirmed that her office had received a formal question request from Miss Lungu seeking leave to attend court proceedings related to her father's burial. She acknowledged that Miss Lungu is still mourning and emphasized that her status as a member of parliament would be addressed at a later stage. The Speaker directed Miss Lungu to present herself before Parliament within 14 days after the burial or within 14 days of the reopening of the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly. The ruling on her continued absence remains pending. This development comes amid legal filings in South Africa for former First Lady Esther Lungu, who has requested a permanent residence for the family, citing safety concerns and political hostility in Zambia. The unfolding situation continues to raise questions about parliamentary accountability, national unity, and the intersection of personal grief with public duty.
Requesting for leave of absence to enable her attend to the ongoing court proceedings in South Africa regarding the burial place of her late father. In light of this state of affairs, the issue relating to whether Ms. T. Lungu, MP, should continue to be recognized as a Member of Parliament is a matter that will be addressed at a later date. While I recognize the sad state of affairs regarding the funeral of the late former President and the need for Ms. T. Lungu, MP, to mourn and put to rest her father, I am also alive to the need for the people of Chawama parliamentary constituency to be represented. In this regard, I direct in absentia Ms. T. Lungu, MP, to present herself to either my office, if the House will be on recess, or the House within 14 days after the burial of her late father, or within 14 days of the opening of the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly.
His Majesty Kalonga Gawaundi, King of the Chewa people, has been announced as guest of honor for the 2025 Ukusefya Pangwena traditional ceremony, which will take place from August 7 to 9 in Mungwi District, Northern Province. The announcement was made by Bemba Royal Establishment Secretary Richard Mukuka, who emphasized that the invitation reflects Paramount Chief Chitimukulu Kanyanta Manga II's commitment to fostering national unity and cultural harmony. Kalonga Gawaundi joins a distinguished group of traditional leaders who have previously held the honor, including Nkosi Yamakosi Mpezeni and Kaongolo Kanyambe the Litunga. Ukusefya Pangwena commemorates the Bemba people's historic arrival at Ngwena village, their first settlement in Ulubemba over 4 centuries ago. The ceremony celebrates the richness of Bemba oral tradition, cultural sophistication, and ancestral legacy. It will begin on August 7 with a corporate business expo and cultural expo hosted by the 18 Bemba kingdoms of Muchinga and northern provinces, showcasing traditional artifacts, crafts, and heritage expressions. On August 8, activities will shift to the Milando River heritage site, where Bemba ancestors discovered a dead crocodile interpreted as a divine sign that the land was chosen for them. The crocodile, known as Ingwena or Ingandu, remains the sacred totem of the Chitimukulu clan. The main ceremony on August 9 is expected to attract hundreds of thousands of attendees at Ngwena Village National Monument. Traditional performances will include Womba music, now popular in church choirs, Imfunkutu, known from Ichilanga Mulilo and Amatebeto, and Malaila war chants, which have influenced both secular and religious music. High-level dignitaries from political, corporate, and religious sectors are expected to attend. Mr. Mukoka called on sponsors, partners, and citizens to actively participate in this celebration of unity, heritage, and national pride. Ukusefya Pangwena remains one of Zambia's most significant cultural events, reaffirming the Bemba people's contribution to the national identity and promoting inter-ethnic solidarity across the country. Zambia has reaffirmed its commitment to regional health cooperation during the 4th session of the Southern Africa Regional Ministerial Steering Committee (RESCO) held in Malawi under the leadership of Vice President Dr. Michael Biswick. Representing Zambia and the continent, Health Minister Dr. Elijah Julaki Muchima, who also chairs the Africa CDC Governing Board, delivered a steering address under the theme One Region, One Health, One Future. He called for urgent collective action against cross-border health threats such as Ebola, Marburg, COVID-19, cholera, and Mpox, stressing that no country is safe until all are safe. He raised alarm over declining health financing, citing a 70% drop in official development assistance and continued failure to meet the Abuja Declaration's 15% budget allocation target. Dr. Muchima also praised Africa CDC Director General Dr. Jean Kaseya for his visionary leadership and closed his remarks with a quote from Nelson Mandela, urging African leaders to rise as the generation that transforms the continent's health landscape. The meeting concluded with renewed pledges to strengthen regional health systems and reinforce solidarity as the foundation for a resilient and secure Africa. Chairperson of the Center for Policy Dialogue, CPD, Dr. Neo Simutanyi, has called on African nations to strengthen their resilience in the face of declining foreign aid, particularly following the closure of U.S. development assistance in several countries in the region. Speaking at the Southern African Institute for Policy and Research SIPA Symposium in Ndola, Dr. Simutanyi said the withdrawal of U.S. aid has caused widespread hardship across Africa, especially in sectors heavily reliant on external funding such as health and education. He stressed that the continent must now focus on self-reliance and sustainable development strategies to cushion the impact. Dr. Simutanyi also urged Zambian government officials to be transparent and sincere with citizens, noting that public communication should reflect the realities on the ground. He emphasized the need for achievable national targets and a commitment to holistic transformation grounded in policy reforms that prioritize local capacity and inclusive growth. His remarks come amid growing calls for African governments to mobilize domestic resources, reduce dependency on foreign aid, and invest in institutions that promote accountability and innovation.
A symposium on strategic response of how Africa will survive in a shifting world order was held in Ndola on the Copperbelt province. The event, which drew various stakeholders across the Southern African region, looked at aid flows, partnerships, and external support challenges and opportunities through a panel of discussion of how funding and attract strategic investment, among others. Center for Policy Dialogue Board Chairperson Dr. Neo Simutanyi emphasized on the importance of establishing achievable targets and called for commitment to historic transformation.
Sufficient quantities. But in hospitals, you are told you need to buy drugs. But authorities tell us drugs are there. So why is there this gap that what we are told the authorities and what is obtaining on the ground is different?
The symposium also heard discussion on exploring reforms in foreign policy, financing, and economic strategic aimed at enhancing resilience in the nation and Africa at large, and was graced by Copperbelt Permanent Secretary Lawrence Mwanza.
This symposium is not an academic exercise, it is a strategic opportunity critical in strengthening our foresight, resilience, and unity by emphasizing that.
While other panelists, among them Southern African Institute for Policy and Research Deputy Chief Executive Officer Cesar Cielo, also added their view on the matter.
Keep complaining about this is not good in Zambia, this is not good, this is not good. I think we also need to appreciate what is good.
It affects everyone. It doesn't matter whether somebody is a politician, somebody is whatever we are. But if then we have visions in these plans, it's right. It's a general consensus that we need long-term plans, and these plans should be protected.
The symposium was held under the theme Global Geopolitical Shift Triggered by the Government of the United States and its Implications for Zambia. Reporting for Sun FM TV News, I'm Gertrude Mwansa in Ndola.
Opposition Patriotic Front PF members of parliament have called on the Zambian government to issue a formal apology to the government of South Africa following the circulation of a leaked audio allegedly implicating Mafinga MP Robert Chavinga in a plot to bribe a South African judge in the burial case of late President Edgar Lungu. At a media briefing, Lukasha MP George Chisanga warned that failure to address the contents of the audio could stain diplomatic relations between the two countries. He emphasized that the allegations, if left unclarified, risk undermining the integrity of South Africa's judiciary and Zambia's foreign policy standing. Chisanga argued that since Mr. Chavinga is officially recognized as a PF president and leader of the opposition, South African authorities may interpret his alleged remarks as reflective of Zambia's political leadership. He further stated that Vice President Mutarena Lumango's response in Parliament effectively confirmed the authenticity of the audio, dismissing claims that it was AI generated.
Declaring an intention to go and commit a crime in South Africa, and a crime as highly placed as bribing a judge in South Africa, is no other than a president of an opposition political party in Zambia and a leader of opposition who is recognized, by the government in Zambia. This is a very serious indictment on the Zambian government. In that conversation, the president was referred to repeatedly as boss. It was suggested in that conversation that the president made phone calls to Mr. Chavinga. I think they need to make a statement. Okay, and that statement, in my assessment, must even include possibly going to apologize to the South African government. That yes, the person that was making those suggestions, the person who was declaring an intention to go and commit a crime in South Africa, is a recognized political leader in this country, and possibly apologize in order for us to maintain our diplomatic relationship with South Africa.
Meanwhile, Lunte MP Mutotwe Kafwaya expressed concern over what he described as attempts to shield President Hakainde Hichilema from scrutiny, noting that the leaked audio contains direct references to the head of state. He insisted that distancing the president from the issue is inappropriate and undermines public accountability. The leaked audio, which has sparked widespread debate, allegedly features a conversation between Chavinga and Minister of Community Development Doreen Mwamba discussing strategies to influence a South African court ruling on the burial of the late President Lungu.
In the leaked audio, that conversation about bribing judges in the foreign land. Now, it is not us who mentioned HH. I think those who are calling for people not to involve HH, they must call those who were having a conversation and ask them to withdraw their views. Let them withdraw that HH didn't call the honorable member so many times. Let him withdraw that HH didn't direct him to go and see a Friday.
This is Sun FM Radio and TV News. We now take a break. After the break, sports news.
The Zambia ABSA Marathon is back. Be part of Zambia's biggest and most anticipated marathon. Join us on the 6th of September 2025 for a day of fun, personal milestones, and unforgettable memories. And now with the World Athletics label, you don't want to miss a chance to write your fitness story. Register today at absamarathonzambia.co.zm. Get your slot at 600 kwacha or 500 kwacha when you pay using any of your ABSA cards. Your story matters. ABSA.
Sun FM News continues, and now sports. Zesco United midfielder Kelvin Kampamba has voiced strong optimism ahead of the delayed 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN, describing the tournament as a golden opportunity for Zambia to showcase its depth of talent and competitive edge. Speaking at the FAS media unit, Kampamba said the national team is determined to make a statement by going all the way. He praised coach Avram Grant's squad selection, noting that the team is packed with skilled players capable of performing at the highest level. The 28-year-old, who recently returned to Zesco United after a stint in Libya, believes the CHAN will also serve as a vital platform for players from Zambia's top clubs, Power Dynamos and Zesco United, to prepare for the upcoming CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup campaigns. Kampamba, a former COSAFA Cup player of the tournament, is expected to play a key leadership role in Zambia's CHAN squad, which kicks off its Group A campaign on August 7 against DR Congo, followed by matches against Angola, Morocco and Kenya. With Zambia chasing its first CHAN title and a record $3.5 million prize, Kampamba's confidence reflects the hunger and ambition within the Chipolopolo camp.
What I can say that we have got a lot of new guys coming up. We just need to continue encouraging them and pushing them every time, because I know that CHAN is very competitive and it demands a lot of work from us, because we play in our local league. And the guys are pushing well, are coming up very well. Because as we know that Zambian football, we have got a lot of talented guys. What we just need to do is just to work extra hard, and maybe we push even the club levels in terms of continental football, so that we can bring back our first slots.
To end the news, a look at the headlines again. President Hakainde Hichilema is set to participate in the 6th summit of the African Union Committee of 10 Heads of State and Government, a high-level virtual gathering aimed at advancing Africa's long-standing demand for reform of the United Nations Security Council UNSC. Vice President Mutalena Lumango has firmly rejected claims that the Zambian government was involved in a supposed plan to bribe a South African judge in connection with the burial case of late former President Edgar Lungu. Speaker of the National Assembly Nelly Muti has reserved her ruling on the continued absence of Chawama Member of Parliament Asila Lungu following a point of order raised by Zambezi East MP Brian Kambita. Finally, in sports, Zesco United midfielder Kelvin Kampamba has voiced strong optimism ahead of the delayed 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN, describing the tournament as a golden opportunity for Zambia to showcase its depth of talent and competitive edge. And that's the news. On behalf of the entire Sun FM news crew, my name is Kyla Brista. Stay tuned.
Sun FM.
The Zambia ABSA Marathon is back.